What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live labels free. Excuse me. I'm super pumped. We've got a very cool guest joining us today. As you know, I love my coaches. They bring so much value to this world. So sit back, relax, tune in, just take a seat and listen to this awesome conversation. He is a coach, a mentor. He helps with personal development and entrepreneur. Please welcome Joey Drolshagen to the show. Joey, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's awesome to be here with you. I've been excited about this since we talked.
Oh gosh, I'm excited too. I mean, your energy is great. I love your story. So I'm excited for us to get into it because you are the person, like my perfect guest that I talked to, someone that was kind of living life in that box and then broke out of it and started living life dynamically on your own terms. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background and bring us to where you are today from where you came from.
Absolutely. I grew up in a very low income blue collar family outside Detroit, Michigan. I was one of 5 children and I saw struggle from very early on throughout all of my growing up years. I saw my parents struggle financially, even within how that impacted their relationship and exhaustive efforts. And even seeing that and knowing it was wrong, I repeated that going into my adulthood. And it didn't make sense to me why. I knew it was wrong, but I repeated that. And I was conditioned early on that a man gets a job, supports a family, and hopefully lives long enough to enjoy some years in retirement. And I bought into that hook, line, and sinker. And even though I've started doing the works I do today at 22 years old, I could never break away from that conditioning. And so I ended up building a career in corporate America up to a vice president of sales. I specialize in building huge territories and later on helping organizations that were either in or going in bankruptcy to come back out the other side into profitability. And I was really good at what I did. I made the money that a vice president should make, and I had a title and all the stuff that goes with it. But man, I hated it. Every step up that corporate ring brought more pain to me because it put me further away from where my true passion in my heart was. And that's really where I come from. It got to a point of using alcohol as a way to cope with that, and overeating, and binge watching TV. Now, with binge watching TV, if you're watching Yellowstone, it's not binge watching.
So I take it that's a favorite show of yours.
I do like it a lot, yeah. But it was using things to try to get me to be okay living so far outside of balance to what I truly desire to do.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting. I mean, we have to have people in corporate, right? We have to have those leaders. We have to have people that want to climb that ladder because, those large companies do provide, resources and stability and things within our economic infrastructure. But, I also feel like it can really drain someone if they're not truly, that's not where they're truly meant to be. It really can drain the core of who that is and turn someone into almost a shell or, numb.
Absolutely. And, there's people that are born with that being their gift and their passion and their excitement, and they should be doing that stuff. But what happens is so often we get conditioned by other people's thoughts of what we should do with our life. And we end up down this avenue, and we get so far down the avenue that honestly, sometimes it doesn't make sense to turn around any other way. And so they just carry it out to the bitter end.
Yeah.
So it's finding what our passion is and then really stepping into that. And although it took me almost 25 years, 20 some years to finally step out into it. Once I understood the tools of the SMT method that I've developed, which is subconscious mindset training, and that alignment between the conscious and subconscious mind, once I understood the conditioning and the underlying paradigms, patterns, the things that hold us up in life that we don't even recognize, I was able to clear that pathway. And within 6 months of doing so, I was able to resign from that position, move down here to South Carolina, live in the mountains by trout streams, waterfalls, like I've always wanted to do, and build this business and really impact thousands of people's lives at this point over the last almost decade.
I love it. That's very powerful. Was it scary for you from going from that corporate job, that safety net, to just kind of relying solely on yourself?
Oh yeah, the fear. There were so many fears in all of that, and one of the ones, like I said, was breaking away from the conditioning because I thought stepping out on my own was wrong. That's not how I'm supposed to live. I'm supposed to be attached to that paycheck and that security and things like that. But there was also the process of stepping out into doing that. When I moved down here to South Carolina and I resigned, and within a week or 2 weeks, I moved out, I relocated down here, and I didn't know nobody.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to get workshops or get, communications or get things like that. When I first moved down here, I had a goal of handing out 5 business cards a day.
Oh, wow. Well, it's somewhere to start though.
Right. And I would go out, but yeah, there was so much fear to that, but it was such a buildup for so many years in corporate America, that 28 years, that it was almost like it took away some of the fear, because there was that excitement of, I'm finally doing this. And whether I succeed or fail, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And that's really getting to that point of there. Is going, people talk about you can trade in your fear for faith and things like that, but it's not really like that.
No.
Really what happens is, as we step through the fear, we end up building faith. We end up building that, seeing that. And what I realized today, and anybody who's been through that process, you've been through that process. So anybody who realizes that process realizes the fear isn't real.
No, it's
so
not.
Even the fear that we're feeling is attached to our conditioning, our patterns, our paradigms, our habits, things like that. So in stepping into that, what I did is develop the subconscious mindset training method, and stepping through it as the first student of it without knowing that was going to be the name.
I love that. So the name of your training is very cool. I might have to use that as the title. So what brought you to creating this subconscious mindset training? How did you figure that out?
Yeah, what happened is, I told you to struggle early on. And then in my 20s and even into my 30s, it was like, man, something's not right, but I didn't know what it was. So that right at some point, The Secret came out, right?
Yeah.
And I got the VHS, because I'm that old. And I got a workbook, and I got the book, and whatever I could get at. And I dove into it with everything I had. I was setting up my own experiments. I was doing what it said to do. I was doing all this stuff. And like 8 months into it, nothing changed.
Yeah. I
was thinking positive. I had a vision board. I was writing. I was, doing all that stuff, and nothing changed. And I could not figure out why. And so after, I've gone through I've invested in multiple coaching programs, into different therapy, into different things and such. And my whole life mission really was to understand this.
Yeah.
And in doing so, I came across Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things that really clicked a light bulb for me, is when I started understanding that, our conscious mind is everything we know. Right. We go to school, we do this, everything we know and such. But the doing part of our life is attached to the subconscious. Mm-hmm. So that's why we have a disconnect between our knowing and our doing gap, which Bob Proctor, got us. So it taught me that, is that knowing doing gap there is what causes us. So once I understood the subconscious, once I understood that underlying conditioning that we're not even aware is playing out in everything we do. Yeah. Is when I started tapping into that, and I started looking at, that's why I struggle financially, because it's been so ingrained and conditioned within me that that's how to live. Yeah. Yeah. Early on, I thought my whole life was going to be mediocre. I just thought I was a mediocre, whatever, and I'd struggle through life. And at the end, it would be like, I made it to the end, and I had no idea this life was available to me. Yeah. And even when people told me that, I didn't believe them. Yeah. As I started unlocking that subconscious conditioning and started working with the tools that ended up, are now the SMT method, it started opening up avenues. It like cleared the pathway for me to have a different perception. And one of the things I tell people that I learned from somebody is that the reality of our life is make-believe. Because it's based on our perceptions, our underlying conditioning, patterns, paradigms, they all make up our perception. So at any time, we can shift our perceptions and shift the entire reality of our life. Yeah. And that's what made the difference between The Secret, all the stuff on law of attraction, and everything else, is that it's so often taught as a one size fit all. Yeah. But it's not. Your conditioning is unique to you. Mine is unique to me. I have 4 siblings. We were raised in the same house by the same parents. We each have unique conditioning. Yeah. So once we start looking at the unique conditioning, then we can go through the process of shifting that, opening up the pathway, and as we do so, developing systems of accelerating habits that your habits work for you. They won't work for anybody else, right, but they'll work for you. Mine will work for me. Yeah. And so instead of having people trying to piggyback off of somebody else's success, and somebody did A, B, C, and E, and so I'm going to do A, B, C, and E, but they never get their same results.
Yeah.
We can set up unique systems of habits that work for you, that drive your excitement to be involved in those activities and bring you greater results.
Hey Dad, how you been? What's going on?
Well, not too much. Spring cleaning time.
Well, did you weed whack? Did you get the carpets cleaned? 'Cause I know Mom's all about that, so I want to make sure we're ready to go.
Well, yeah. I got the gutters clean. That's about it.
That's it? Well, when I said weed whack and all that and the carpet, I kind of meant like the Manscaped 4.0. It's a little more personal.
I understand. Yeah.
Works awesome.
Have you tried this?
I have tried it and it works wonders. It really does. Yeah.
Okay. This is pretty cool. And see, it comes with an LED light, and I understand it's waterproof.
It is waterproof. It works well. I tried it. It's a good product. It's a great product. I've tried other ones, and they're just so noisy, and they don't cut very well.
Wow, that's really good, Mike. Where do we get this?
Well, you can get it at manscaped.com, and while you're at manscaped.com, you know that we got a code, so we get it cheaper.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of a discount can we get?
We can get it at label-free 20, and it gives you 20% off the product, and it gives us free shipping. And I've tried some of the other products there because they got these all new premier products. Like this here, it's a deodorant.
Now, is it for underarm or other places, or
Made it, I tried, but it's for the underarm.
Okay.
That's where it's at. And you can also get it at manscaped.com. Same code. We use the code again. Label free 20. Label
we get
free
20%
20.
off and free shipping?
Free
as
shipping.
well?
I mean, how can you go wrong with that, right?
Wonderful.
So I'm the oldest of 5. So I've got 4
Okay.
siblings too. I grew up my father's a deadbeat. I mean, we all come from the same father. And so a majority of my life was around struggle. And so like my perception is my reality, my conditioning is way different than my siblings, because my mom and I became like co-parents, and I went through that struggle with her, whereas they did not so much. And so that makes perfect sense. And I think that definitely, the subconscious and the conscious are, sometimes there's a disconnect there where I do a lot of the same habits, the positive mindset, the vision board, all that stuff. And I think that I've started, not so much, I think I have a lot to learn, but start tapping into reprogramming my subconscious to where it's really in line with my conscious, because I still, even though I've been wildly successful in my life, I've experienced some failures. I don't look at them as failures. I look at them more as lessons.
Good.
But I've always been kind of stuck in this place where I'm struggling all the time. And it's like, why? I generate income. I do this. You know what I mean?
Very much.
I'm starting to get out of that. It's been a slow process, but I've had to really shift a lot of things inward and say, like you said, I'm very much on the same page with you. Like, what is going on here? Why isn't this changing?
Yeah. And you talked about that with struggle. I was at a point in my 20s when I started to realize, I didn't know why, but I started to realize if something came really easy to me, I thought there was something wrong. It was uncomfortable for things to unfold like that. That's that conditioning. And let me just say, anybody experiencing struggle in their life, it's not your fault. Nobody would choose to struggle in their life.
Yeah.
It's not that you did something wrong or your lot in life, or you weren't, you weren't as gifted as somebody else or anything else. It's that your conditioning is holding you back. It's not our thinking. It's not our knowledge. And for sure in the United States, it sure as heck is not our willingness to kill ourselves to achieve what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
Because we work harder than any other country trying to achieve what we want to achieve. It's not your fault of those things. You're not lazy or, not willing to do enough or anything else. It's that there's conditioning within you that is ultimately what will determine your destiny, how far you can go in your life. So as you shift that conditioning, and you talked about a vision board and such, I don't do vision boards, so to speak, these days, but I have dynamic vision road mapping tools, whether I'm working with an individual, an organization, or a corporation. We start with developing a dynamic vision. Yeah. And once we have that, instead of being pushed by our pain to bring about changes and do the things that help us to move along, is we can be pulled by a vision. And it's really like taking that kayak on a river and paddling upstream as hard as we can to turning it and just going with the flow. And all of a sudden things start showing up. Opportunities start coming to us. And it's not philosophy, it's physics at work. It's because where we place our intention is where we place our attention is where we're placing our intention. So it's all about energy flow. And when we turn that around, we're no longer taking massive actions, going 150 miles an hour, trying to get what we want, and everything else is we start becoming more allowable for answers, for things to show up, for opportunities to show up for us to fulfill whatever that vision is for our life.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Amen. I love it. Yes. 100 times. I mean, that's, you're so right. So like I personally, I mean, I would love to learn more about your subconscious mindset training, but I personally had to just say, okay, listen, I'm not going to fight this anymore and keep thinking all like, when's this going to get better? When's this going to get better? I'm just going to allow myself to go with the flow. But there are still days where I have to remind myself to do that work because I'm fighting it sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the things, like I'm a creature of logical mind. Yeah. I'm a creature of wanting to automatically, I will want to go to my logical mind. I'll say, okay, I want to do this. And then I'll start laying out, how am I going to do it? What am I going to do? And I'm one of those people that used to have laundry lists of to-dos and all these massive actions and trying to get anybody's coattails that's done it to see how they did it so I can do the same thing and pull myself completely out of who I am, taking these actions and doing these activities that don't even fit me, but because I'm trying to get to that end line. And what it is, and I still have to get reminded of it. I still, you know, and what it is though, is once I shift down into that subconscious, once I shift down to living from my heart, once I shift out of my head, because when we live through our head, our best resources are what's between our two ears. And we're counting 100% on that. Yeah. When we shift that and we start opening up that pathway, we start slowing down and getting out of our own way, we tap into the universal laws. We tap into, you know, what I refer to as God. We tap into allowing higher sources of energy to start working on our behalf. And when we do that through a unique system that deals with your conditioning for you, mine for me, and each person, and setting those systems of accelerating habits up to the unique individual, all of a sudden, within 12 weeks, I can take somebody who's like really struggling just to pay rent and get food on the table to living in abundance with and I've proven it over and over with a savings account, with things like that. People who are smoking in their health and want to improve it. You know, it works. And once we understand the tools, and once you have that pathway to success, that unique pathway to success, it applies to every area of your life. Yeah. And the last thing I want to say about that, and I'll be quiet for a second, but here's the thing that so often gets confused, is we cannot go out and get to the things we desire. We cannot go out and get them anywhere, but the logical mind will try to do that mapping for us. What we have to do is we have to come from that place of that. Yeah. We already have it inside of us, but we have to come from that place of that. And when we do that, that doesn't happen at 150 miles an hour with massive action. It happens when we slow down a little bit and allow and get into that allowing state. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Woo! Getting goosebumps over here. So I feel like the time is flown by with this conversation. Holy cow. How does someone start to work with you? What does that process look like? Yeah, the first thing there is I mean, people can reach out to me in multiple ways. You know, one of the ways I want to say thank you today for you, I want to say thank you for your listeners giving their time listening to this, is I want to offer a free gift to anybody who's interested in it. It's a book I've just published. It's called Align, Manifest, Transform. Ooh. And it starts that pathway. Everybody can download that book for free. All they have to do is go to download.ifgtcoach.com. Okay. ifgtcoach.com, and anybody can download that. They'll download it for free, and as a result of that, they'll get some other free gifts. I have a case study of how to create a life you don't need a vacation from, that they can get as, if they want, as an add-on to that and such. But it really is opening those doors. But here's one of the things that I'd like to speak into as well, is anybody who's interested in living a better life, in experiencing greater results than you're currently experiencing, and getting the heck out of that struggle, whatever that area is. It starts. Nothing can happen until we tap into the beginner mindset. And what I mean by that is, so often I'll be talking to people and they'll go, I know. And we're conditioned to know everything, right? Whether we do or not. I talked to a guy the other day, and he said he's 11 years old. He uses scenarios. He goes, I came home and this cat ran right out in front of me. So I walked in the house. My son was sleeping. I woke him up. I go, hey, guess what happened? He goes, what? He goes, a cat just ran out in front of me. And my son said, I know. And he goes, you can't know that, but we in that mode of being that way. A beginner mindset will say, I know these things, but what can I add to it? What can I add on top of it here? That's a beginner mindset. When we get in that mode, all of a sudden we open up our awareness so we can see what's really going on with our thinking and the conditioning and how that's playing out in our actions and things like that. So, I would say the book would be a great starting point. I made it short, but really powerful with some tools in there you can start applying right away to start aligning, which means getting that total mindset alignment, to start manifesting and creating the things that you desire with less effort than what you're, applying today. And then transform, because again, you can't go out and get to it. You have to come from that, which means you have to become that person. And it's clearing that pathway, that conditioning to do so.
Woohoo! Yeah. Where can people find you, connect with you, reach out to you?
They can go to pretty much Joey Drolshagen. You can go to on any social media. Anybody can go to ifgtcoach.com. And the IFGT is my mother corporation. Everything else is under it. And the IFGT stands for It's Freaking Go Time.
Oh, I love that.
And that's really what it is. And so anybody can go to ifgtcoach.com. My website, like I said, all the social media is under Joey Drolshagen. If you type in IFGT and Google IFGT Coach, you'll get tons of stuff coming up. And I'd love to hear back from people when they look into this, the book, things like that, whatever avenue you find me on.
Awesome. You guys, I'm going to put all those links in the show notes. As you can tell, Joey is full of passion. He's wanting to help you. You can feel it coming through the screen, or if you're listening on any of the streaming platforms, don't hesitate to go click one of those links, reach out, go download the book for free, and connect with this incredible man right here. Before we say goodbye, because it is already time, I can't even believe it. It just flew by. What are some last words of wisdom or advice you'd like to leave with the audience?
Thank you for this. And what I'd like to say is, we spend so much time in fix-it mode, right? Yeah. We have a problem, we have to fix it, right? And we're conditioned like that. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, all of that, right?
Yeah.
If we understand, a lot of our struggle comes from that place of things that aren't the way we want them.
Yeah.
If you just look at it, the things that are happening that are struggles, their only intention is to help you identify what it is you do want.
Yeah.
So instead of living in that and energizing that and making that part of our life, take an area you're struggling with right now and look at the other side and say, okay, you don't want this. What does the opposite look like? And start putting some energy into seeing that happening, into allowing that, into slowing down and really getting excited and energizing that with emotions, and watch how quickly things start turning around for you in that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Joey, thank you so much for being a guest today and sharing all this incredible wisdom and value and just wow. And the resource, I'm going to go download the book when we're done here.
Awesome. I'm going to go for a walk. Kind of bring it down a little.
He's like, I got
a great conversation.
Well, that's good. We energize each other. That's awesome. I'm feeling energized now, and I've been tired today, boy. Let me tell you. Well, please keep us posted on any new projects, or if you come out with another book or anything like that, we'd love to have you back and just kind of update the audience with what's going on in your life, so that we can remind them that you're there, you're wanting to help people, you have resources to give them. So we would love to just make sure that you keep us updated.
Oh, and I so much appreciate and what an honor to get to be here with you. I'd love to do this again sometime and have another conversation.
Thank you, Joey. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to comment, rate, review, share, follow, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.